So good morning, officially now to everyone. We are very pleased that we can have this this Zoom Health Club again, and I'm just not sure why you don't see me in the speaker view. Can you see me as a large picture?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, we can.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah, as I said, I would just ask you to mute yourself, but feel free to ask questions anytime in between. We will start with a presentation and then continue with the practical part. So for those who don't know us, we are the International Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Brussels. And we have been doing health classes and cooking classes on our premises, but now with the pandemic, it has been a little bit challenging to meet on our premises. And so we started in September with our first health club via Zoom. And it was quite successful, and we had a lot of fun together. And so we decided to do this again. And we have a theme this time, and our theme is breakfast. And I'm going to share a presentation with you. Let me see. I'm going to open this here. Okay. So I hope you can all see the presentation. Yeah, so
not yet, but it's coming, I think.
Yeah, it's my internet connection is sometimes a little bit unstable, but
yes, it's here now.
It's there. Okay, great. So breakfast is a very important meal, if not the most important meal of the day. And there's some interesting statements by some celebrities about breakfast. Marlene Dietrich, for example, she said, once a woman has forgiven a man, she must not reheat his sins for breakfast. And then another one by Josh Billings, an American humorist, he says, never work before breakfast. If you have to work before breakfast, get your breakfast first. And then another one, Edgar Watson Howard, an American editor, he said, a woman is as old as she looks before breakfast. So breakfast, it literally means breaking a fast. So it's an overnight fast. So yeah, because we don't typically eat during the night, so we are breaking the fast in the morning. And I'm going to talk about the benefits of eating a healthy breakfast. And maybe your mother has taught you that you should eat a healthy breakfast and that it's the most important meal of the day. And we are going to look at this, how it's linked to many health benefits and also to weight control and improve performance. Okay, so I hope this is not a typical breakfast for you. This is actually what they call an American breakfast, but I think it's applicable to other Western countries as well. But an American breakfast, it generally consists of maybe 2 eggs, either fried or poached, sliced bacon, sausages. You have a toast with jelly. You have pancakes with syrup and other cereal, coffee, tea. And I don't really have the time to talk about the ills of each of these items, but I would like to highlight right now some concerns with the usage of coffee or black tea. yeah, for breakfast or any time of the day. So let's go into this for a moment. So caffeine is the most widely used or the most widely consumed drug in the world. It's most commonly from the beverages coffee, tea, and soda. About 80% of the world's population, they drink drink a caffeine-containing substances every day. So you have a typical 8-ounce cup, a normal cup of coffee. It contains about 100 milligram of caffeine, which is about twice as much as in a cup of black tea or in a bottle of soda. And then a 30-gram chocolate bar, it contains as much caffeine as half of a cup of tea. And you can also obtain caffeine in powders and in tablets, like as a supplement. So let's look at the effects of caffeine. So you see in this slide here, they did an experiment on an orb building spider. And so they wanted to see the effect of caffeine on the web building skills of this spider. So what they did, they injected to the spider caffeine, like an equivalent of 2 cups of coffee. And what happened afterwards, the web, it was quite dysfunctional, as you can see here. This is not a usual spider web here. It's very dysfunctional. This is what the spider did right after having the caffeine injected. And then in the next slide, you can see even after 48 hours, the effect of the caffeine was still in the spider's system. So the result was still dysfunctional in the performance of the spider. So imagine what this could be doing into your own system. It took actually 96 hours back to normal function. So here only after 4 days, basically, the spider was able to web a normal spider web again. So this means if you consume a big cup of coffee with 200 milligram of caffeine in it, let's say at 3 p.m., by 9 p.m., about 100 milligram of that caffeine is still in your system. So, the main concern with caffeine is actually that it changes, in simple terms, in very simple terms, it changes the structure of your brain because of and it is basically caused by the reaction your brain takes to when the caffeine hits. And the brain gets used to this changed structure, and therefore it craves more caffeine. And this is basically what happens. And research has found that caffeine, also found in soft drinks, in pain relievers, in tea and coffee, it increases certain risks, like for the risk of cancer, different cancers, especially when it comes to coffee, bladder cancer, but also other ones. Then gout, it can also worsen diabetes. It can even contribute to miscarriages, lower birth weight in babies, nervous fatigue, heart palpitations, heart disease, high blood pressure. It can contribute to bone loss and osteoporosis. And then even it can increase anxiety, mental problems, elevated cholesterol levels, and high free fatty acid levels in the blood. So this is something that it's best to avoid. And of course, caffeine has quite an addictive element to it. But truth is that if you stop drinking it for a few days, your brain gets back to normal. So the brain structure normalizes again. And then those cravings, they disappear. But it can be a struggle, of course, but it's worth trying it to eliminate caffeine. Another topic that I would like to look at in this context is the effects of refining grains, because we often have the tendency to use refined grains for our meals, not only for breakfast. But you can see here in these slides what it actually does to the different nutrients. Because these refined grains, they have been significantly modified from their natural composition. So, and the modification process, it generally involves the mechanical removal of the bran and the germ. So, and then in return, they usually add some nutrients to enrich it, but it's usually thiamine, niacin, and iron that they use to enrich it. But it's not really an enrichment, because you see what it loses, like fiber. It's almost 80% less fiber, and this is not good. I mean, if you don't have enough fiber, our digestion goes sluggish. Then the protein loss is also significant, as you can see. Vitamin E, it's not so much, but folate, it's a lot. And then it goes on here, calcium, almost half of it. Magnesium, phosphorus, potassium. You have lots of mineral and nutrient losses because of the refined grains. So it's always best if we choose the whole grain version of whatever grains we use. The hazards of refined foods. It's no fiber. As I already mentioned, the digestion is affected by that. Then it's high in saturated fats, and there are no cancer fighters really in these kind of foods. They are oxidants, and it's high in sugar also often.
Vegan.
So this is like it, and this applies to donuts, blueberry muffins, bagels, croissants. So these are all refined foods. Okay. And of course, the high fats, they clog the arteries and lead to premature death. Okay, that shows us that, that eating a healthy breakfast can help give us a more nutritionally complete diet. So it's higher in vitamins and minerals. And we have improved concentration and performance in the classroom and in the boardroom, and more strength and endurance to engage in physical activity also. Then it lowers the cholesterol levels. It helps with weight loss. So there are many benefits. And it's also important to eat some carbohydrates at breakfast, because the brain needs the fuel right away. And carbohydrate is the best source. So if we eat grains, ideally actually 2 different kind of grains for breakfast. This is very good, and also it helps to keep us going for the morning, so that we don't feel like we need a mid-morning snack or something. But I will go into that in a minute or so. Okay. Then another theory behind the breakfast there is a link between breakfast and weight control. And there is the National Weight Control Registry, and they have observed that many successful weight losers, as many as 80%, who have lost at least 30 pounds and kept it off for at least 1 year, they were regular breakfast eaters. So they had a calorie controlled, low-fat diet. So this is, and that it's very interesting to note that most studies linking breakfast to weight control loss, they looked at a healthy breakfast containing protein and whole grains. So not meals loaded with fat and calories. And then there was this study by Dr. Charles Cupp, and he looked into hundreds of overweight patients, and he instructed them to eat a heavy morning meal, to have a moderate lunch and a very light supper. And the last meal was not supposed to be later than 3 p.m. So this is quite an interesting study. So he did, because he did not actually limit the amount of food that they ate, only the proportions, like heavy in the morning and then moderate lunch, very light supper. And the outcome was that those who ate only breakfast averaged a 10-pound weight loss a month. And those who lost 20 to 30 pounds, they showed an increase in hemoglobin levels, and the blood sugar levels of diabetic patients who lost 30 pounds or more were normalized. And also the hypothyroid patients showed a reduction in the daily thyroid maintenance. And it's very interesting to know also that the control group, they ate the same amounts of food, but they could choose when they wanted to eat it. And they didn't have these successes in weight loss. And also the other health benefits, they were not so remarkable like these here. So the timing is quite significant here. Okay, so yeah, remember this wise saying, you might have heard it: eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and supper like a pauper. So this is very wise counsel to indeed make breakfast the biggest meal if possible. But in any case, it's very good to keep the supper very light. For me personally, supper is more like a snack actually. And my two bigger meals are breakfast and lunch. And yeah, it's also important not to eat very late in the evening. It's best to stop eating like 2-3 hours before you go to bed. And this will also help you to eat a hearty breakfast, because if you don't eat much in the evening, if you don't eat late, because this is often the reason why people cannot eat a big breakfast or no breakfast at all, because they had a heavy meal in the evening. Okay, and then here we have a counsel that was given to us actually more than 100 years ago. It's from a book from Ellen Gold White. It's Counsels on Diet and Foods. And it says, the habit of eating a sparing breakfast and a large dinner is wrong. Make your breakfast correspond more nearly to the heartiest meal of the day. And we see that with the scientific research that we have just seen, this has proved this. So eating breakfast, it seems to be essential for maximum mental and physical efficiency. So regular breakfast eaters may be able to cut their death rate by 50%. And a good hearty breakfast and a lighter or no supper at all may help improve blood sugar control in diabetics. So for a diabetic or people who have overweight, it might even be advisable to skip supper altogether. This might take a little adjustment, but most people I know of who have gone to 2 meals, they only struggled maybe the first few days, maybe for 2 weeks, and then the body got adjusted to this longer fasting period. Okay, then we have another interesting study. It was at the University of California in the pediatrics department. They did a large-scale study done by psychologists, by neuroscientists, nutritionists, physiologists, and they especially looked at school-aged children. And they found that children who had a good breakfast in the morning, they were more efficient at problem solving. They had improved memory, increased verbal fluency, improved attention spans, improved temperaments, and also better scholastic scores. Another interesting study on breakfast and longevity is the Alameda County study. And they found that the men they looked at here, ages 60 to 94, who ate breakfast and no snacks in between, had less than half the risk of death than men who snacked and skipped breakfast. And then also the effect on heart attacks, it's quite significant because adults may reduce their risk of heart attacks by eating breakfast regularly. Because most heart attacks, they actually, occur in the morning hours because this is when the platelets, the blood clotting cells become stickier. And a good breakfast can help the platelets to become less sticky and thus decrease the risk of heart attack. Okay. So today we'll be teaching you a few tips on making a hearty and healthy alternative for your king size or queen sized meal. And one of them is, I'm not going to demonstrate this, but I'm going to mention it because I find it quite important. It's the method of dextrinizing your grains. So you see in this picture, it's rice being dextrinized. So what you do, well, I usually wash my rice before I use it, and then I put it in the pan, and then I heat up the pan, and then it starts popping. And this is the method of dextrinizing. So the grains, they start to pop. And this is quite important because it breaks down the starches, it shortens the cooking time, it helps in the digestion, it improves flavor, and it prevents the so-called lacuna scarring. So actually, what they found, radiologists, they can detect tiny lacuna scars in the brains of people over the age of 30. So they found this. And some scientists believe they are caused by the inadequate cooking of starches. And so you can prevent these little lacuna scars because if the starches are not really broken down, they get into the small blood vessels in the brain and create small blockages. And this can, in the worst case, it can lead to an autoimmune disease. So by dextrinizing the rice, so it's about like 5 minutes, you wait until it pops and so on. And then you don't want to do it too long because you only want to have it slightly brown. So this shortens the cooking time. Another way is to break down the starches is also to cook the grains longer, like rolled oats for 1.5 hours, quick oats for 60 minutes, instant oats for 45 minutes, and the rice, well, if you don't dextrinize it, then it's better to cook it longer to really break down the starches. If you dextrinize it, it's 40 minutes should be fine. But other than that, it's better to cook the rice longer. And also the other grains. And I have a crock pot. I can cook my grains overnight. This is also an option, especially if you have whole barley, wheat, and so on, whole oats. So this really breaks down the starches. Okay, to conclude, I'm going to...
Daniela, I have a question.
Yes.
Is it like for each use of the grains? So like each time you use the rice or the other grains, like to make cookies, or like whenever you use the grains for whatever purpose, you should cook them that long?
Yeah, I mean, the rice, I always dextrinize it before I cook it. So that's fine. And you can also dextrinize in advance. But whenever you make some, I mean, if you don't grind your grains, if you cook them, it's always good to either dextrinize or to cook it longer to really break down.
And if I understand well, dextronizing, it's like in a pan with water and you heat it, because I saw the picture, but there was some delay on when you were speaking.
Yeah, it's here you see that the rice is a little bit wet because it was washed, but you don't add any water because the water will it will disappear when you heat it up, and you have to stir it, and then it will start popping.
Okay, clear. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was about cooking grains. And now about the snacking. So nibbling in between each meal, what harm could it be? Especially, well, if you've heard all this common advice of doctors that diabetics should eat like 5-6 times a day. Mm-hmm. So it's questionable because there is some research that shows that it's better not to eat in between. So what happened here in this study, so people were given breakfasts consisting of cereal, toast, fruit, and an egg. And then their stomachs were x-rayed and found to be empty, usually in less than 4.5 hours. So they did these x-rays, and the stomachs were empty. Then 2 hours, it was actually, a few days later, they got the same breakfast. And then 2 hours after eating, they were given either a peanut butter sandwich or a piece of pumpkin pie with a glass of milk. So what happened, 6 to 9 hours later, their breakfast was still in their stomachs. So it made an impact here. So it was still present. So only because they had a little snack in between. And then one person received a little chocolate candy twice in the morning and twice in the afternoon. And then some 13 hours later, the half of the breakfast was still undigested in the stomach. So what happens when we add more food to the stomach before it has finished digesting the previous meal, the digestive process slows down until the stomach can process the new food. So this is why when we eat too often, our stomachs, they may keep working all day and sometimes long into the night. And the problem is with food that's left in the stomach, it leads to fermentation and toxicity. So we want to avoid this, of course. That we have this fermentation process because it's not good for our blood, for our overall well-being. So it's best to wait like 5 hours average between meals before we eat our next meal. So with all that information, how can we afford to skip breakfast? It's the most important meal of the day. And there are so many ways to eat a good breakfast. And we are going to show you some recipes now. I think most of you have received the recipes, but just in case, I will post it again. Okay, so how do I close this presentation now? Okay. Yeah, so we are back now. Oh, there's a question in the chat I can see here. What if I want to do intermittent fasting and skip breakfast, but eat between 12 and 6 o'clock? I'm then skipping breakfast, but not overeating or snacking. Yeah, the problem with that, intermittent fasting is a good thing, but it's much better if you skip the supper, because in the morning when you get up, you have to imagine after this night fast, your body cells, they are depleted. They need new energy. Like if you go on a trip, you don't fuel your car in the evening, you fuel it in the morning, right when you need the energy. So this is the main problem, one of the big problems with skipping breakfast. So intermittent fasting, yes, it's a good thing, but I would not advise to skip the breakfast. Okay.
Hello. Can I ask something as
Yes.
well as you speak about this? I have the same problem that I've been kind of eating too much in the evening, and then I'm not hungry in the morning, and then I can go all day without food, and then I'm planning to do 1 day fast, but I can never do it, and on the end I always eat, in the evening. So I end up having one meal in the evening, which is not good. And I want to break this chain, but I'm now trying to make a breakfast, even though I'm not too hungry, but I will have it just for the sake of not being hungry in the evening. So yeah, I have similar problem with, having even, one meal a day, but I have it in the evening.
Yeah, it's hard to break a habit. I see this struggle. But once your body gets adjusted to a smaller meal in the evening or no meal at all, then it will be fine. It's just it takes a little time to acquire a new habit, and usually it takes about 3 weeks to acquire a new habit, and then it takes about 8 to 10 weeks to really that this habit becomes so ingrained that you don't want to miss it anymore. So yeah, you have to be patient with such things. But it's yeah, it certainly makes sense to have a bigger meal in the morning and a smaller meal in the evening.
Yeah, I know all the theory. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's that's the hard part to apply.
Sister Daniela.
Yes.
I have a question. Is there in coffee, even in their own farm, and they make by their own, or they grind by their own, it's still the caffeine is still exists even though it's come from their farm?
From the farm?
Yeah, from their own.
Well,
which is the coffee grains.
Yes.
And they make it by themselves. Of course, they put in the pan and then they grind themselves, and the caffeine is still
it's still there.
Is there?
I mean, there are ways to remove the caffeine, but they use a lot of chemicals for caffeinated coffee, and that's another problem. So it's not the healthiest either if you have decaffeinated coffee. But yeah, the normal process, it's, yeah, the caffeine is still in there, even if they
okay.
grind it by themselves. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Also, I have a question because in Philippines there was being a famous actually it's an Advent, it's our church actually there who have allowed to do, but it's a corn coffee. Do you know? Do you hear about it?
Oh, cereal coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can actually show you. I have a cereal coffee here in my kitchen. This is basically, it's chicory and some other things here. And let me show you here how it looks like. It looks like powdered coffee or like cacao a little bit. So this is an alternative to real coffee.
Where did you bought that one?
Yeah.
This you can get it in health food stores everywhere, and also in supermarkets. Actually, in supermarkets they have the Caro coffee. Yeah, this is what you find in regular supermarkets in Europe, and then they have other kinds in health food stores.
Can you show it once
Okay.
more?
Oh yeah, yeah. I got this one here in Brussels.
A cereal.
Yeah, and I see Vero. She's showing us another one. Yeah, this is also, yeah, a cereal coffee. Yeah, so this is a healthy alternative.
And
Okay.
that cereal coffee is made out of what, Sister Daniela?
There's, let me check the ingredients. Usually it's chicory. Let me see here. This is cevada, because it doesn't, this is only Dutch and French here. Yeah, it's, okay, it's rye and, yeah, barley, rye. These are the main ingredients in this one, but sometimes they also have chicory, malted barley, and yeah, chicory is also in there, and
okay,
rye.
okay.
So it's, yeah, cereal. Okay, so we are going to start now with our recipes so that we will have everything ready by lunchtime. So yeah, I think most of you are not cooking along with us. Is anybody who would join later, are they going to cook along with us, or are you just watching?
Watching.
Yeah. Okay, that's perfectly fine. So before we start with the first recipe, we will do some prep work for our pancakes. And actually, let me post the recipes again for those who don't have it. The sheet that I sent, oops. Okay, let me check, yeah. Post, so you can read along with, while we are demonstrating. Okay, so this is loading now. So you can open the PDF and we will start. Well, actually we'll start with some preparation work for the pancakes. So that's, if you have read the recipes, we are going to make potato pancakes. And what I have prepared here, you see, I have cubed potatoes. And I'm going to, this water is going, help. Okay, so I'm going to cook those potatoes now. Oh, can you still see me?
Party.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to cook them so they are that they are soft then later on when I do the recipe. And in the meantime, I think Layani or Layara? Layara is going to demonstrate how to make baked oatmeal. So that's actually a great breakfast dish, and she's going to share that with us.
So where's the recipe?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Layara. I'm part of the health club with Daniela and the other girls that you will later see. So it's a pleasure to again take part in this moment together where we can share some knowledge, some recipes, and we can exchange and learn together. So as Daniela just said, I'm gonna introduce you guys to the baked meal recipe. You can follow the steps that she sent through the cooking recipes. So I already prepared a few things, but I left some things to do along with you guys so you can see how easy it is and how good recipe it is as well for your breakfast. So if you follow along with me, the recipe, we need 1.5 cup of chopped dates. So I already have here 1.5 cup of chopped dates, and we already preheat the oven. So now I'm gonna put the dates in this dish that's gonna go into the oven in a little bit, and I will just move here the computer. It's okay. So I will just spread the dates through the baking dish evenly, so it looks nice and properly spread. And yes, the dates are very important because they are gonna give the sugary taste for the recipe. Since we're not using any kind of sugar or artificial sweetener, the dates are gonna be the ones that are gonna give the sweet flavor to the recipe. And actually dates are very good. If sometimes you crave, like some people when they're changing their lifestyle and trying to eat more healthy, they often say that they crave for sugar, like for some sweet things. So actually dates are good ways to fill your cravings for sweets. So if one day you're like, oh, I really want some cake or some sugar, maybe if you have dates, you can satisfy yourself in a healthy way. So the next step for our recipe is to cover the dates with fruits. So you can choose any fruit for this recipe. You can use apples, you can use pears, you can use peaches. I chose 1 apple, 1 pear, and what fruit is this?
Sharon.
Sharon. I'm not very familiar with this one, but Daniela chose it, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna go very well with the recipe. So I'm gonna cut now the fruits. So we're gonna add into the baking dish. Okay, so
if you need a smaller one.
Okay, thank you. So I made this recipe at home and I used only green apples and it was very good. But you can also put different fruits like we're doing now. I think it's good because it gives a different taste and you can taste different types of fruit and also add different nutritional value to your recipe. So the merrier, the better.
Or some fruits that are left, like fruits left at home.
Yeah, so if you have some fruits left at home that you didn't eat, that your kids didn't eat, and maybe you can't get them to eat, This is a nice way to put the leftover fruits at home, so they're not gonna go to waste, and you can use them in a very nice recipe. So it's a good option as well. And because it's gonna be in the oven for 1 hour, the fruits are gonna have a very nice texture, especially the apples. So they're gonna be not too crunchy, but they're gonna be a little bit more soft, and it's gonna be a nice texture for your recipe. So it's a different way to eat your fruits. If maybe you are a bit bored of just grabbing a fruit and eating it, maybe this is a good option for you as well. So here I finished the chopping. I'm gonna chop this a little bit more. So we can add everything together in our baking dish. This is a quite big recipe. Like you can, after you have some of it, you can put in the fridge and eat later if you want. So now I'm gonna transfer this to the baking dish. So you spread all on top of the dates. So you can mix them so they are spread evenly. And yes. So next step is we layer the oats and the raisins on top of the fruit. So for the oats, the measurement is 3 cups of rolled oats. So we're going to use 3 cups of rolled oats. Yes. So here I have the measurement, 1 cup, and here I have the rolled. Actually, this is not rolled oats, right?
Let me just pin. I need to pin my video, I think. Yeah.
So here, this is not actually rolled oats, right? These are another type, but the rolled oats are the best. But if you have a different type at home, it's not a problem. Okay. So you spread over the fruits. So 3 full cups should be enough in this recipe. So you make sure you cover all the fruit in a nice way and evenly.
Have you put the raisins on?
I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I can't see anyone. Oh, okay, you're back.
Pardon?
Can you see it?
Yes, now yes, thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to put the raisins and also mix with this. Yeah. So here I have 1 cup of raisins. So you can also spread with the oats and the fruit. Also, the raisins play a big role in this recipe since they also gonna add some sweetness to the recipe. So make sure you add them as well along with the dates, right? So it will give a nice and sweet flavor to your dish.
Where's the recipe? I uploaded the recipes further up. If you scroll further up in the chat, you can download the PDF.
Okay, so now we're gonna prepare the liquid. So you use a big bowl, and you can use any milk that you have at home, preferably some vegetable milk, which can be soy milk. This one is soy milk. It can be almond, it can be rice milk, or anyone. If you want to make your own milk, if you have your own milk at home and you want to make it, it's great as well. So for this recipe, we use 5 cups of plant-based milk. So we add 5 cups in a big bowl. 1, 2, 3. So I will need 1 more. Thanks. 4 and 5. Along with this milk, we will add a tablespoon of salt. So the salt is also very important. Just because this is not a salty dish, it doesn't mean we don't need a salt for this. The salt is gonna balance the flavor. So it's very important. This is half of a tablespoon, so I'm putting this 2 times. And along with that, 1 tablespoon as well of vanilla. So I have here an extract of vanilla. So I also am gonna add 1 tablespoon of the vanilla extract to give a nice flavor to the recipe too. Now we just stir this liquid very nicely, and afterwards we just have to put this in the baking dish. So you pour the milk. Make sure make sure you put it everywhere so there is no dried sides on it.
Sister Jenny.
Give her a
Yes?
spatula. Spatula. She needs spatula.
This one is ready.
After that, if you want to just put everything in there and make it very even, but it's gonna grow a lot once you put in the oven because the oats are gonna absorb all this milk. And so make sure as well you use a dish that has space afterwards for it to grow, because these oats really grow after 1 hour in the oven. So now you just use the coconut, yes, the dried coconut, yes, the flakes, and you also pour over the dish as much as you want. Like we have this measurement, but if you like a lot of it, you can put a lot. If you are not a big fan of it, no problem. You can also add maybe some cinnamon if you would like, or some other toppings. But coconut is a very good choice for this dish, and you make it very, very nice and flavored.
Also more sweet, it gives more sweetness.
Yes, yes. Oats, they don't have a lot of flavor, right? So we need to really invest on the other things. So coconut, dates, raisins, this is gonna add the flavor for this dish. So here we have the final product, and we're gonna put in the oven that has already been heated. it's gonna be there in 180 degrees for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And after 1 hour, we're gonna take it out and we're gonna show you guys. And we hope that you do this recipe at home if you are a fan of oats and is interested. As you saw, it's very easy, very simple and quick. So it's a good option for your breakfast. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it was clear and easy. Thanks a lot for staying with us and giving your time to learn with us together.
Actually, I'm going to set the timer to 45 minutes and then we will check it because we might have to cover it after 45 minutes. Otherwise, it can become a little bit too dark on the top.
And how many degrees?
180 degrees. It's all on the recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. So we will continue now with the next recipe. And Janice is going to share with us how to make banana bread. Okay, Janice.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm just gonna prepare all the ingredients that we need to make a vegan banana bread. So for banana bread, we need 2 cups of wheat flour, or you can also use spelt flour. But here I will use the whole wheat flour. And I have here a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. It says on the recipe that dates and to soak in a plant-based milk. But since I have run out of dates, so you can also use agave syrup or maple syrup or a brown sugar. But here I will just use the brown sugar. And we need a 1/4 cup of raisins, that's optional. A 1/4 cup of desiccated coconut, that's also optional. And also a 1/4 cup of walnuts. And we also need 1/4 cup of applesauce. And also we need 3 tablespoons ground flaxseed. So we need this to soak in 9. The ratio is that in every 3 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, we need 9 tablespoons of water. This is our egg replacement. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we're gonna leave this one for 5 minutes. We're gonna set this aside. And just like in a normal baking, we mix all the dry ingredients and all the wet ingredients apart as well. And then we're gonna mix them together later. So let's go first to our dry ingredients. So I have here 2 cups of whole wheat flour. And then I will add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And just have to mix them well. Be sure that the salt and the baking powder is incorporated. And now let's go to our wet ingredients. Let's set this aside. So Can I use this one?
Yeah.
Yes. So in another bowl, I'm gonna mix the wet ingredients. I will have this 1/4 cup of any vegetable oil, but here I used the coconut oil. You may also use olive oil or sunflower oil, whatever you prefer, but I like coconut oil, so I used coconut oil. And then I will put my sugar, but I would recommend dates because dates is more healthy. Mix. And then the applesauce. Just gonna mix it. Let's check our flaxseed mixture. Maybe we have to wait a minute still. Here are the dry ingredients. You can now also put your walnuts, your raisins, and the desiccated coconut. I'm just gonna mix them well. And also, our main ingredient is the banana. So I have here 2 ripe bananas. It says here 1 cup mashed banana. So I will see if 2 to 3 ripe bananas, I think. So just gonna mash them, mashed. So when we are done, then the flaxseed is ready to pour in as well.
Sister Janice.
Yes, please.
Can you pause a little bit? Sister Jenny, your video is interfering with the video of Sister Janice. So if you can switch it off or mute yourself, we will be able to follow the other one.
I think I had muted Sister Jenny.
So we can use fork to mash the banana, or you can also put it in a blender, but I think it's also doable with this fork. I'm gonna add, where is the banana? Since we need 1 cup of banana, I will add 1 more. So I have 3 bananas, ripe bananas in total. Oops, sorry. Mash that, mashed. So you can have this for your breakfast or for dessert. So it seems very good now. Look, it's well mashed. Then we can add this to our wet ingredients. Mix that well. And then we will add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So it will give the aroma. I could smell the vanilla. And the mashed banana, very yummy. And now we can add our ground flaxseed. As I said, this serves as our binder, as an egg replacement. There you go. Mix, mix, mix. Since I only used a half cup of brown sugar, it depends on your preference, but I don't like it really sweet. So, but if you really want to add more, I have also here agave syrup. You can also find it in any health food store or an organic shop. Probably I will add a quarter cup of it.
Yes, a quarter cup.
Thank you. So I will add a cup of agave syrup. There you go. So this banana bread is very healthy with lots of nuts and natural sugar. If you do use dates, maple syrup, or agave syrup. And then we're gonna put the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. And then we'll give it a mix. So make sure to mix it until all the ingredients are well combined. So if you could see that your butter is quite dry, you may also add a bit more of applesauce. Maybe I will try 1 tablespoon or 2. The butter, because normally if you use dates and the plant-based milk, the butter is very consistent. So now, seems that this is the butter that I want. It's not that too dry, it's not that too wet. So perfect. I don't know, can you see it properly? You see, it's not that dry, it's not that very wet. And now we can transfer it into the baking. The baking dish, what do you call it? Baking pan here, or any form you want. It might be circle, but since this is banana bread, I think this is more ideal. Do I need to oil this one? No. Okay, great. So as you could see, it's very simple, it's very easy, and it's very healthy, and it's yummy. Banana is rich in potassium, and you have ground flaxseed, and you have some nuts. So you all have the fiber, the minerals, the vitamins. Okay, great. Oh, there is still. Oh, sorry. Okay, I will use my spatula to even it. Okay, great. Now this is ready to put in the oven for 180 degrees Celsius for almost an hour. You can check 55 minutes, and then if not, you can extend for an hour. So you see, here's our banana bread.
You put it together with the oatmeal. You can put it next to it.
No, it's not that. No, I want it to be. Maybe you can put the oatmeal like in the length.
Oh yeah.
Great. So I'll put it in the oven now. So we'll see later the finished product. Thank you for cooking with us. For those who are cooking along with us, and thank you for tuning in. And I hope you will apply this very good recipe also. Great.
Okay, thank you, Janice. So we are going to continue with our next recipe, and that's the potato pancakes. It's one of my favorite breakfast recipes. It's actually very simple. It takes some preparation work, but actually I found you can do everything in the evening, basically, at least the prep work. So you can see here my potatoes, they are cooked, the cube potatoes, 5 cups. And I need to mash them now. So I have this really handy dandy device to mash my potatoes. And it's best to buy soft potatoes. You know, there are different kinds of potatoes. And in French, it would be farineuses. This is the ones that I get here in Brussels, because it's easier to mash them if they are more like softer kind, especially for mashed potatoes. So I try to mash this now as good as possible. Maybe you can take some pictures. Okay, so this looks very good already. So I have almost like, yeah, it looks like almost mashed potatoes. This is what we want. But it doesn't have to be super fine, super smooth. As long as you can form pancakes. Okay, so now, and I'm going to add the other ingredients, which is soy milk or some other plant-based milk. You just want to use a neutral milk, like rice milk, it would be a little bit too sweet. This you can rather use for a sweet dish, but for this savory dish, you don't want to use sweet milk. So, and actually, there's the half cup. Oh yeah, this is the half cup. So what I found, 1 cup is definitely too much for this recipe. So I start with half cup of milk, and then I add, if necessary. So, And then we have some garlic powder. Just a quarter teaspoon. Because garlic powder tends to be rather strong. And onion powder. You can use a little more. And some salt. Okay, and some olive oil. You can also use coconut oil with this recipe. Okay. And some parsley. Yeah. You can use fresh parsley, but I have chosen the dried version. And yeah, it's 1.5 tablespoons dried. And if you use fresh, you will just use a little more, like 3 to 5 tablespoons. Okay, and that's it already. And I don't even need the full 1/2 cup of milk I see here. It depends on the consistency of the potatoes. So just be careful with the liquid, because if it becomes too runny, it's difficult to make pancakes with it. Okay, so this looks very nice and smooth now. And I'm going to form pancakes, patties, little patties with it. Oops. Could somebody wash the spatula, please? Okay, very good. So I'm getting my cookie sheet here. Yeah, let me see. What we can do, we can put it in a 1/2 cup measurement. You can always do it just with your hand as well. Let's try with the measurement first, how it works out. Yeah, it becomes a little sticky. Yeah, you can do it like this. Then you have a nice, nicely shaped patty. Oops. So this actually, it yields about 9 patties. This one, it will be less than 9 now, because it's a rather large measurement. But if you use a 1/3 measurement cup, then it's probably about 9. To put some water in between here, then it goes out more easily. Actually, almost 9. Oops. And we use the rest here. Right. So we have one tray full of potato patties or potato pancakes here. And we can put this in the oven now for about, let's see, the recipe says 20 to 40 minutes. Yeah, it all depends on your oven and how big the patties are, how thick. So according to my experience, it's not much longer than 20 minutes. So I would actually check it after 15 minutes and see if they need to be turned. So you don't want it too dark. So, but we will check after 15 minutes. So, great. So these are our potato pancakes. And as I said, you can prepare this whole dough in the evening and then just form the patties in the morning and put them in the oven. Okay, so we will come to the next recipe, which is scrambled tofu. It's also one of my favorites because I really like a hearty breakfast, like a savory breakfast. So, and that's another great recipe for a savory breakfast. And Dayani is going to share this with us. Scrambled tofu.
Thank you, Daniela. This recipe I find it very interesting because I'm a very savory person for breakfast. So I mean, I like sweet, but I do need to have, you know, a bread or something that's not sweet for breakfast. And personally, when switching to vegan lifestyle, which I found really hard, was replacing eggs in the morning. So I'm someone that I love used to love scrambled eggs for morning breakfast with toast and bread. So I really struggle find something to replace it. And this recipe, I can tell you by experience that it's something that can replace really well your eggs in the morning. So it's based in tofu, as we talked. So we're gonna use 400 grams, which means 2, or if you have a package of 400 grams or 500, it's also fine. And personally, I'm not a big fan of the taste of tofu. I find it very, you know, unflavored because it doesn't really have a good taste. But the good thing of this recipe is that all the toppings that you add, all the spices makes it very tasty. And I can assure you that you can really resemble it eggs, real eggs. So I found it very interesting. So I encourage you to try at home and then share your experience with us if you enjoyed it. And we're gonna start from the main ingredient, which is the tofu. So I'm gonna just smash all this tofu here, which is, I mean, the recipe itself is very simple, and I think maybe you're gonna be surprised how simple is it. Doesn't require a lot of different ingredients. So you can do it in the morning, 10 minutes preparation when you wanna have your breakfast, or if you wanna do in advance as well, but you can easily just prepare for your breakfast when you get up. And it's just about smashing all the tofu. So you know, there are very different types of tofu. You have very firm tofus and you have some soft tofus. So it's up to you, how do you like your eggs? If you prefer the soft one, you can always buy the more soft. Personally, I enjoyed this bit more firm tofu. I think it's more tasty, but it's up to you. So when you can also, when we put in the pan, we can also regulate, because as much as you heat it, you lose some water and then it becomes more firm. So it's all up to you. So you realize that the texture starts to change.
You want to use the glove?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you. So you start to realize that the texture starts to change a lot when you start to scramble it. So basically, you're just gonna yeah, I will do it just so make it all fine. Yeah, and then it's up to you how much you wanna make it more small pieces, or if you want to have little pieces in the middle. It's really up to you how much you want to make the recipe more likely. I prefer very well mixed and very well mashed. So it's up to you. And once you get the texture that you want, I will reach this texture here, which is pretty much, yeah, you see, you have little pieces, but if you prefer, you can keep mashing till you find what your preference. So whatever you find the texture you want for your mashed, yeah, your scrambled tofu, it's by choice. You add your spices and we start with salt. So we're gonna have 1.5 of salt, 20.5 of salt. So we're gonna add it. It's 1.5, so yeah, we have it more or less 1.5. And the flakes, I don't know if you're used to use the flakes, the yeast flakes. They give a flavor, I would say, remind some cheese. So we can have 1.5 of yeast flakes. 1.5 tablespoons, actually, the last one. Okay, and I do just 2 times this one, the next one. Okay, and then we need garlic powder. So I don't know if you already used it in your recipes before, but it's very handy because we have the flavor of garlic in a powder, which is quite useful, so you don't have to cut and smash it. So we get 1.5 here. Yeah. Okay. And for the last one, we add some onion powder. The same one. And then optional, as you read in the recipe, you can add some, I don't know, red pepper, yellow pepper, if you like it spicy. It's up to your preference. You can really be creative in this recipe because it's whatever you like in your taste. So, oh, the turmeric. Yeah, the turmeric was here. Did you get it? Oh, I just put it. Yeah, and the one which is very important, we can already mix it, is the turmeric because it's gonna give the yellow visual for the scramble. So when you add the turmeric, you're gonna have, I mean, the taste also gonna get better. But you're gonna see it really looks like that you have scrambled eggs. So you can add it for the left.
Yeah, and you can be generous with the turmeric.
Yeah, it's really how much you want it. I see that we can use more, we can have more and really add more color to the tofu. So it's really up to you. I'm gonna add more because I really like it. It's very yellow. It reminds some, you know, it really resembles like eggs. And yeah, it's up to you. If you like it to use, or maybe if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. But personally, I think it can really give a nice texture, taste to the recipe. Yeah, now you mix all your tofu here. And then you make sure all the spices are well mixed. And then we're gonna put it, it's not in the yeah, if you wanna add more, go ahead, thanks. We want more. Yeah, because here we have a little more than 400 grams. We have, I think, 500. So which means that we should use a little bit more than the measurements from the recipe. So we can be more generous if you want. Yeah, I think this texture is really good. This is really good. So now we're just gonna heat it in a pan like we do with eggs. Get some olive oil in the pan. We fry some chopped onions that I have here. And then we add this in the pan. I show you that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Actually, you can also use water instead of olive oil.
Yeah,
that's the healthier option and the leaner option also.
Yeah, you can use water. If you have another kind of oil, I use just a little bit just to fry a bit the onions and to give some taste for the tofu. So we're gonna have a nice flavor for our tofu. You see, it's very simple, not many different steps. Just about mixing, putting some turmeric. You can always try yourself and see, okay, maybe a bit more of salt, maybe a bit more of garlic, if you like garlic, if you like onion powder. So you can really adapt the recipe according to your preference. And you can even, you know, if you want to put something different, some people like to add some greens or some different stuff. Yeah, it's up to you. If you have your personal seasoning, then you can use it. So we basically wait to the onions to start to fry. We don't need to have them totally fried before, just to give some flavor. I chopped the one like medium onion, but it's also according to your preference. Maybe for someone, this is too much onion. Like if you don't really enjoy onions, you can chop a half of the onion. Or if you don't like onion at all, you can always do not use this and just fry the tofu in the pan. So I already add the tofu, so we can mix. And you can see that we have really, that really looks like scrambled egg. I mean, personally, I really enjoy that the recipe is really, it does really look like what I used to eat before. So you can control here now. If you wanna fry it for a long time, you're gonna, of course, if it was water, evaporates. So you're gonna have a more dried, yeah, tofu. But if you just want it more soft, then you just quickly heat it up and then you finish. But it's, again, according to your preference, according to the way you prefer. And this recipe you can easily eat, you know, with a toast in the morning or with a whole bread or just the tofu itself. It's a recipe really high in protein because tofu is a very protein source. So if you want to have proteins in your breakfast, this is a very good alternative because you can, if you, I don't know, eat a cup of that, you can easily have like 15 grams of protein in this recipe, like a small amount. So it's and also it's a good option for kids that do miss having eggs in the morning, that they like to eat with toast, or you want to replace the cheese, you don't want to put cheese in your bread, you can always replace with this scrambled tofu. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to be surprised with the reaction of people that try this recipe. So we're basically done. That's not much to do. We can, thanks. This is the final result. As you can see, the texture, the consistency is pretty much alike with eggs, and you can, enjoy in your breakfast. Thank you. There is a next question. Feel free to ask.
Okay, in the meantime, we will check our baked oatmeal because it's actually getting quite dark. So what we are going to do, where's my foil? We're going to cover it. Okay, I'm going to take some aluminum foil. So for the last 15 minutes, I'm going to cover it. And I check my pancakes. You see they are still quite blonde, so I can keep them a little longer. More please. Okay. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you the last recipe. It's a very short one. It's our fruit spread. You might have seen on the recipes. And this is something that I discovered only recently because fruit spreads or sweet spreads, that can be an issue when you want to prepare a healthy breakfast because the jams that you buy in the supermarket, they usually contain a lot of sugar. And even the ones in the health food stores, they contain agave nectar and other sweeteners, which are not really the best for our health. The effect on the blood sugar is pretty much the same, although agave nectar might be a better option because it has a low glycemic index, but still it's sugar, it's concentrated. But you can make sweet spreads by just using dried fruit. And I'm going to show you here. I have pre-soaked these apricots here. So this is a bowl with apricots that I soaked in boiled water. And this I can just put in the blender and thus create a nice sweet jam. So I'm going to try to blend this now. What happened to me a few days ago, right on time for our health club, my Thermomix broke down. So that's Thermomix is a really strong blender. Yeah. And it's difficult to operate without, of course. I have a small blender here that I'm going to try to blend this with this one now. So let's see how it's going to work.
Water.
Just a tiny bit. It didn't turn out super smooth, but you get the idea. So you blend it as smooth as possible, but actually to put it on the bread, for me, it doesn't have to be very smooth. And apricot is my favorite, but you can also use prunes, for example, dates. You could even use dried apples or pears, any kind of dried fruits. And you can serve this to your family, to your friends, and tell them this is a jam, and they will not notice that there's no sugar in there because it's really nice and sweet. Yeah, it's an excellent bread spread. And it keeps for some days in the fridge, especially if you use boiled water, it would keep, I would say, up to a week. If you use regular water, maybe up to 5 days, 4 or 5 days at least. But in my household, it doesn't last that long anyway. So yeah, so this is a great way to create a nice spread, which is, yeah, without sugar. So this is something also you can eat if you have a light meal in the evening with crackers, for example. So that's really nice. So in the meantime, let's check our what we have in the oven. I think the pancakes are not quite ready, but I will show you what we have right now. Yeah, I think we can turn them over now. And the scrambled tofu is also done pretty much. And actually the scrambled tofu and the pancakes, they go very well together. Oh, you see they are still a little soft. So I dare not to turn them because then they will break. So we'll just leave them a little longer and then turn them later. But our baked oatmeal, I think it's pretty much done. I will just show you the result. This looks fantastic, doesn't it? Very yummy. So I will leave this out of the oven. And in the meantime, I think the banana bread still takes a little while. 10 minutes. Okay, we have 10 more minutes for the banana bread. So in the meantime, if you have any questions to me or the others, we are ready to take them. Any comments? Did anybody cook with us actually? Okay, silence.
Yeah, I'm just so blessed to get all these other alternatives for breakfast. Thank you so much for the recipes. And it's all about all the ingredients are things that are easily affordable. And I've learned alternative ways. I really like potato. Those potato pancakes, I just went and grabbed my potato, which I almost forgot that I had them. So the next thing I'm going to do for myself will be to make my own pancakes with potato. Great. Thank you so much, Nelia and your team. This is a great learning exercise. You can read these things in book and read in recipes, but when you really see somebody doing it, it registers in your mind in a way that you can't forget, because we actually see the demonstration. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Mary.
But I have a question. At the opening, when you were talking about rice, either my volume was too low, or you were talking about rice, and it's like you put the rice to pop or something like that.
Yeah, what was the question?
Was that rice popping at the very opening? When you pop the rice, did you have to cook it again? That's all now. It's ready for eating.
I talked about the dextrinizing of the rice.
What's the word again? Texturizing?
Dextrinizing, yeah.
Dextrinizing. Is that something that comes before the cooking? You do that before you cook?
Yeah, it's before the cooking.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. That's the only thing I missed. Thanks.
Okay, I also wanted to mention that I have this book. At the very beginning, I mentioned it. Of these ye may freely eat. This is a free book that I have for anybody who is interested. It's from the US. It's not available in Europe, but I have been cooking a lot with this book, and they are very simple plant-based recipes in that. And they are very tasty, and I'm happy to give it away for any donation to cover, let's say the postage, because I can not give it to you personally. I mean, those who belong to our church congregation, we can maybe find a way that I give it to you personally. But if you're not from, especially if you're not from Brussels, feel free to message me, and I'll be happy to send it to you. So for those who don't have this book yet. And then I would also like to show you something. It's a little sneak peek for one of our next lessons. And I ask my friends here to help me right now, because I'm going to show you a little cake that I made. And in one of our upcoming programs, we are going to talk about desserts, healthy desserts. And so this is a little sneak peek, just a moment. Okay, so could somebody assist me, please? Janice, could you please show? Okay, so here, this is well, an Austrian Linzer Torte. This is actually a pie with, it's no sugar at all. It's only sweetened with dates, and it's fruit inside, the topping. So this is what we are going to make in one of our upcoming programs. And so I hope you will be able to join us in the future. We will continue with these classes. We will probably continue for in the next months, like every 2-3 months, ideally have a class like this. We don't know how it's going to turn out with the pandemic, and if we can do meetings in our church again soon. We have a super equipped kitchen there, so it's actually practical to do something face-to-face as well. And then you can also taste right away, because this is the element that we are missing, of course.
Yes.
And somebody is just curious, did anyone cook along? Yeah, I'm also curious, but I think nobody was really prepared to cook along.
I did.
Me too. But I'm missing onions, so I'm on my way to the shop.
You're on the way to
I was missing
the shop.
but I also cooked.
Who is that? Jael or who cooked along?
This is my this is my scrambled tofu.
Oh, you have the creme.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, very nice. Let me pin this. Yeah, very nice. Jael, yeah, very good. And you added some pepper, I can see.
Thank you, Jael.
Yes. And I didn't have turmeric, so I used what is it called? Curcuma.
Oh. Okay, very good. Okay. Okay. So yeah, if there are no more questions, then we can end this class. Yeah, we took a little over, yeah, about 2 hours. I think this is a good length because we don't want to keep you too long, and it's also almost time to eat, and we will enjoy what we have created. I don't know if the banana bread, is it ready to show, Janice? So maybe Janice can quickly show you the banana bread before we end here. So at least in the pan, we can take a look.
It's not that ready yet.
But you can see here.
But maybe you can see.
But you can get the idea here.
The banana bread.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much again for attending. And I don't want to hold you up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much also for demonstration.
Thank you.
And
You're very welcome.
God bless you all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and there will be also some different topics in the future, not only cooking, but I'm also planning to give a class on healthy cleaning products. So this will be actually a face-to-face class, most probably, but I will inform you about that. And I also would like to share a link with you with, it's with YouTube videos with Professor Dr. Walter Veit from South Africa. This is a series of presentations about protein, for example, and yeah, it's called actually Perfect Fuel for Perfect Health. And yeah, it's a great series. This man is very knowledgeable. And also next weekend there is it's called a mental health weekend. So we have several mental health specialists which are going to talk via Zoom. And I'm going to send you the link for this per email.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so
enjoy your meal.
Yeah, well, enjoy as well. And I would say we finish with a word of prayer. Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to share about the importance of breakfast and about healthy recipes that we can enjoy with foods right from your hand, created by you. And we thank you so much for your goodness, for your care, even in this pandemic. And I ask you that you may bless every participant, that you may help them to apply what they have learned today, that you may help us all and give us the strength to live a healthier life, so that we can, yeah, that we can be strong and fit, and yeah, be fit to work and to do what we need to do and to bless others.
Yes.
Please bless also the rest of this day, and thank you also for the food that we can partake of very soon. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. May the Lord replenish your means, your strength, and your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you have any questions,
God bless you all.
Thank you. It was all clear.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, have a nice afternoon.
Yeah, for you, all of you too.